go.
Here we go.
Lift
Let me
off.
tell you something, Anthony. Trey got me fucking drinking AMFs yesterday. He was feeding them to me like water, and I'm very hungover today. There's too much sugar in that shit, you know? And
What
Trey
is-
and
We're having
I
a good time.
Trey and I can't bounce back like we used to. Apparently has no issues, but
I feel
me
great.
not doing too hot, I will say.
What is AMF? What is that?
It's an
Adios,
adios motherfucker.
It's a
Um,
drink. It's
yeah.
like a
It's
mixed
like
drink,
what-
or is it like a thing you can buy?
It's like a
It's
Long
a-
Island iced tea, basically.
Yeah,
Just a lot of sugar.
So it's a
Yeah.
lot of sugar is the problem. So it's vodka, rum, tequila, and gin, and then a bunch of other shit mixed with it. So it was a lot.
Yeah,
But
I can
it was a-
imagine.
We watched,
It was a
Getting
good
old,
we watched
time.
sports. We watched the Saints win. Saints
No, they
won
did not
yesterday,
win.
right?
No,
No,
they
they
did
lose.
not.
We,
And
never mind,
I'm
we watched
gonna
the Saints
I'm gonna
lose.
have to
Watch the
address
Dolphins
it
lose.
again because Blake brought them up last week. They were doing
No,
so
Trey
great.
did. Trey
Oh,
did.
is Trey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it
maybe
was
Trey just reverse cursed them by saying they won when they lost, so like next week we just pick right back up. So
Yeah.
okay, but we'll keep the Saints talk on a hush hush till get to December.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them in
I
December.
forgot. You did literally go shh.
Yeah.
After I said they were doing well.
It's
All
all
right,
good.
well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Totally Biased Music. It's Blake, Trey, and Anthony, and today we're reviewing On Magnificence by Random Rab and First Man for the movie. So this is an Anthony album pick. Gotta say, I love the artwork, but walk us through your decision here, Anthony.
So the artwork is Android Jones, the one and only. They've done a lot of collabs with Random Rab's albums of the past, so that's always refreshing to see when something new drops. But this one came out last summer, and Random Rab, I guess the best way to describe him, he's from Colorado, very earthy plus synthetic music. You know, if you took acoustic and electronic and kind of created a hybrid that as Blake would say, would align your chakras. I think this is what you would
Nice.
get. You know, it's something really beautiful, very digestible, very thought provoking, very emotional, and experimental in a sense. You know, I think Random Rab, if you played a Random Rab song to people who are versed in that, you would pick up that that's him. A lot of strings, you know, a lot of like wavy synths. You know, his music breathes really well, and yeah, so I wanted to bring this to you based off of just, you know, something I would imagine, Blake, maybe you hadn't heard. And if so, I hope that you got something out of it. You know, this is something I go back to a lot, especially when I'm doing, you know, mindless activities. Like if I'm working in the yard or if I'm writing emails or just doing something that requires my hands to be busy, my brain can check out and dive into this thing. So excited to give it a listen and see what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, Trey, let us know. What do you got? What are your thoughts?
Man, Blake, your voice sounds so bad.
Blake smoked 2 packs before we started this episode.
I did smoke a cigar last night too, which probably
That's
did
what
not
it is.
help.
Yeah. I've seen Random Rab a handful of times. You know, he's kind of in that like burner tipper type of circle. I'm sure that's probably where him and Android Jones have spent many evenings on the playa, as they call that big desert area. I myself have never been there, but I've never like sat down and listened to a full Random Rab like album, but I really enjoyed this. It was definitely pretty low key. It's a pretty long record for like an album like this, but there were some highlights that I'm really excited to get into. There's a couple tracks where like some of the vocals I didn't like super love. Some of them I thought it worked at other points. But I thought it was great. Definitely an interesting selection, something a little different for the pod, which I appreciate. Quite calming music. My first listen experience was on the plane, actually, coming out here to Denver, and I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep, and that's exactly what I was trying. That's exactly what I was trying to do. I was trying to listen to something calming and melodic, and like kind of put me down on the plane, and it did its job. So then I have listened to it through a couple times since then, and made a little bit more critical, with a little bit more critical ear rather than a sleepy 6 a.m. ear. But yeah, Blake, I am interested on how you felt about it.
Yeah, I think I mean it's definitely like it to me it was long, right? Like I think having an hour and 2 minutes of this, I kind of, and I listened to it in one go because I actually listened to it this morning. And I enjoy the music. Like it's peaceful. Thank
Well, I want to say this. So you listened to it hungover, right?
Yeah, I did.
No, he wasn't hungover then. He was
okay, still, still
but
going.
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. You know, I think that it's very peaceful. It's very peaceful music, and there's parts of it that I really enjoyed. I will say I was a little bit bored towards the end. There's some moments where I was a little bored with it. But as a whole, like I like this type of music because there's a lot of music like this, like lo-fi music. Anthony, you and I have talked about this, but like this is in that same vein of you can kind of just put it on while you're doing other stuff. You know, I always play lo-fi music when I'm playing video games, like, you know, World of Warcraft, whatever it is, and I just like to have music on in the background. This is like the perfect type of album for that. So I did like that, but yeah, it just to me kind of having listened to it in a straight shot and also being hungover probably didn't help. But it was like I just towards the end I was like, all right, I'm kind of ready to move on, you know. But I enjoyed it, so I'm excited to talk more about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely safe to say this is not like dynamic music. You know, it is more like ethereal music. So like if you go in not knowing and expecting, you know, a lot of range, you know, it's going to get monotonous, you know, as you kind of keep going. But I think for what it does for kind of, it doesn't have to be intentional listening. I think it still can do something for you. So yeah, I think that's like a decent context to be able to take it in, you know, when you're actively doing something else and letting it kind of play. And then before you know it, the album's over and you're like, wow,
Right.
it was like, I find like music like that where if I can't tell that I'm 4 tracks into the album, right? Or if I can't tell and the album's over, that does something, like that says something to me about that music where it's not, there's not conscious breaks in it. You're not like, oh my gosh, I got to change this track. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's something that you can just kind of let go. And I agree. There are points that we'll talk about in a little bit, you know, that aren't my favorite or that I could do without. But I think as a whole project, you know, this kind of psychedelic bass acoustic kind of hybrid music is an interesting flair that you really don't hear a lot of. So I think in the right context, it can make sense. But yeah, if you're raging and this is what plays, I mean, this is a dynamic mood shifter, you know.
Yeah.
But after a show, that type of environment where everyone's working their way
definitely.
down, it definitely feels good.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, go ahead, Trey.
No, go ahead, Bobby.
I was gonna say it is interesting, like, and you could take this as a positive or a negative, but it all kind of blended together in the sense that it felt like one long track, right? Like there were moments, like especially, I think it was between This Way and Corvus Corax, or maybe it's Corvus Corax going into Soul Ricochet, but you can't really tell where one song starts and one song ends. Which, like I said, you know, that could be a positive or negative depending on how you like it, how you listen to the music, things of that nature.
Right.
But what were you gonna say, Trey?
Oh, just that, you know, like this is something that's like passive listening, you know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily a lot of the albums that we review, you know, there's like big, like you said, or like dynamic, like there's a big dynamic like change in like a song or something like that. I don't really think Random Rab is seeking to make a great album. You know what I mean? Like that's not his goal going into the studio. Like I think he's making great songs. And obviously a lot of it is built for the live setting, and he does, you know, like sunrise sets and all those type of things too. So like a lot of these songs I feel like would pop off in that setting that maybe I didn't necessarily enjoy like listening to it in a studio setting.
And I will say, I listened to them with my new Bose headphones. And if you, ladies and gentlemen, if you need headphones and you want to listen to Random Rab, Bose headphones are the ones to do it. I'm currently wearing them now. Bose, please sponsor us. All right, Anthony, start us off with your top tracks.
So, all right. So the way that I'm going to try to describe these tracks, it's, you know, a lot of these tracks are instrumentals. There are vocal appearances on them, and there's a rapper blended in here too. But I'm just going to try to describe them in just a few words that came to mind after listening to them. So in no particular order, my top 3, I have Feel You in My Heart, Feel You in My Heart is a one of the tracks featuring Mishi. I wrote, this is a very hard opening track. It's very hippie thing to say, but the idea is that it can open you up in a way that, I don't know, it just feels really good. And I wrote, it's just a vibe. It's just a very fun vibe to be in. This whole album is a fun vibe for me to just kind of hang out in. So Feel You in My Heart I have on there. Aleatory, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. We're going to try that way. I wrote Smooth, psychedelic bass. The strings in that track really feel really melodic and really, I don't know. This album just touches me in the right place. No P. Diddy reference in that. And the top track I have on here is All the Way. All the Way is something that I feel you could play in a live setting in a more elevated bass music set to really just let everyone breathe for a second. I love the vocals. Let yourself go all the way. It just feels so good. So bouncy, vibey, and love the vocals on that track. I want to mention two other tracks I want to mention as honorable mentions, and they were solo tracks. Sempiternal. We're gonna say that. The second track.
Sempiternal, yeah.
Second track, I wrote Tonal and Blissful, and then Grandiloquence. I don't know. It's gonna be fun pronouncing these tracks.
Grandiloquence, maybe.
Grandiloquence, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, fun beat and uplifting. A lot of these tracks, you can see the repetitive theme of just being uplifting music. So I think you could throw them in sets scattered, and it's gonna do for the crowd what it needs to do. But for me, it just feels really good.
Nice. Trey, what do you got?
Well, first off, I think I just realized that I'm wearing a Coalesce with Cosmic Synergy shirt.
Yeah, you are. I noticed that.
I think I saw Random Rab at this festival in San Francisco. I'm not 100% positive, but it definitely was something he would have been at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to shout that out and how much work I put into this podcast.
Nice.
All right, so my top tracks. So I kind of divided it into like sections. So Sempiternal I absolutely loved. Like I think I don't particularly love the first song, but I like really felt like this was like the actual start to the record for me. Like it's a very it has almost like an 80s, like don't clench up too hard. It has almost like an 80s like synth sound to it, like with the main synth line, and it like just works really well, and like I know like an almost ambient type of like turn towards the end of the track. So really enjoyed that one. And then as far as other like just random rap tracks, that's how I divided it up. Sorry, I forgot to say that. I divided it up with like songs with random rap and songs that had features. I really like Soul Ricochet as well. I like you said, it's kind of like an opening up. Like if I'm trying to open up my heart chakra at the end of a nice yoga session, I feel like this would be it. Also, all of this entire album could be in a yoga set.
Yes, 100%.
Probably why you like it so much.
Yeah.
But Soul Ricochet has a little bit more of like an upbeat to it. You know what I mean? I think it would pop on a good system, or it would also pop on some Bose headphones. We make headphones.
Bose headphones, baby.
And then for my other like side of this, so I really love Emancipator. And Lapa is featured in this album on 2 different tracks, I believe. My favorite out of those, I like them both. So the one of them's In the Stars. I like that song. But the one that very much gave like big Emancipator vibes is Grace. It has a whole cast of people on here. There's a couple different like vocal sessions, and I feel like maybe a violin in there too. If one of these 2 other folks is a violin player or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, Grace is fantastic. And then The Majesty, also with Kathleen Hooper. I love the way this album closes out. Honestly, the 4 tracks from Grace to the end, I really, really enjoyed those. Maybe it's because I was like fully awake during those, so I had woken up from my little airplane slumber. But yeah, no, I really liked how the album ended.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those last 4 tracks are on side D, on the vinyl release. I've got it. Gotcha. But that makes total sense. It just flows seamlessly.
Yeah, and like Lapa is just like such a good violinist, and he shreds both those tracks that he's on.
Yeah, shout out Emancipator too. That's one. I mean, an
Emancipator.
artist that I was debating on bringing to the podcast at some point, but this was just the direction to go. But I'm sure we'll get some more of that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Blake.
So first track I had Sempiternal as well, and I'm committing to that's how you pronounce that. But yeah, this is like, I mean, this is peak lo-fi music to me. This is exactly the type of, you know, I hate calling it background music because it seems like an insult, and I don't want it to be an insult, but it is like very background music-y, you know, like this is just a good vibe. It's peaceful. It's got a nice sound to it, and yeah, I just really, really enjoyed that song. And we'll get into this later, but to me, it was a stark difference from the first track, which kind of relieved some of my worries. So, but yeah, I really liked it. And then I really like throughout the album, I really enjoy the songs where there's vocals and there's people singing. So All the Way is my next one for really similar reasons as to what Anthony said, but it is just like, it's boppy. It's got a nice head bobbing beat to it. I love the lyrics. I love her voice. I don't know who Mishi is, but I fuck with her heavy. I really, really like her vocals in this song. And then In the Stars for, you know, same reason. It's a different vibe from All the Way. Like it's not as like upbeat to me, not as uplifting, but still Mishi's in it. Amazing voice. Lapa's in it. Like it's just a good combination of people. So I really enjoyed. I think that was like the highlights for me. Not to, I don't want to, you know, knock Random Rab, but like the solo songs for me, a lot of them felt like they were missing something, and so the songs where there's people singing, I think is just more up my alley and more like my speed. And then some honorable mentions. Feel You in My Heart again. Maybe I'm just a Mishi fan. Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is.
It works so well. It really does.
Yeah. But yeah, very like this is. I love Anthony. Like when you say that certain albums or songs or artists are like after the festival artists or after the festival songs where you're back at your campsite and you're all just trying to teach
the people out there, you know.
Yeah, but that's what this song really is to me. Like Feel You in My Heart is just that vibe. It's like, oh man, we're back at the campsite, it's late at night, we're relaxing, and this is what you put on, you know, drink, and nothing like a nice like ice cold Gatorade when you get back, you know, just refresh you. But yeah, so I had to throw Feel You in My Heart, and I agree with Trey. Like I do like that 4-track run at the end is really nice. But yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah, I think those after show vibes are something that like you realize the crowd you're with when whoever gets control of that, or the aux back in the day, or just whoever has control of the music after a set, you know, because like I've been to so many, you know, after show campsite kind of just gatherings, and people are still trying to throw down.
Yeah.
And like I will give like a suggestion, and if it's disregarded, then I'm gone. I can't be in that environment after being melted by, you know, heavy bass music or heavy psychedelic music. It's like people can keep going, and it's usually the younger ones, and I feel old as shit saying that now out of my mouth, but like it can be such a melt fest after a show. And I think that's an experience that if you haven't had it, do that and just enjoy it and reflect. You know, I think this is really good reflective music too, because you can get lost in thought and you're not distracted by a lot of vocals, but the vocals that are featured throughout are very subtle, and they're kind of just guiding. You know, I think that it's very like exploratory music that way versus just very energetic. Right.
Definitely. I was occasionally I was that guy still throwing down after the set.
I get it. You know, and that's why I was like, "You gonna give me a shot?" Or I get it. You have your rage session, then I'm gonna go melt in my car. Anyone can join, right?
All right, what do you got for bottom tracks then, Anthony?
So I only had 2, and the track This Way with Souleye. I like Souleye in his own right. I mean, sick rapper, but I don't like the featuring of a rapper within this album. I think it's very much a tangent from, the very harmonic and blissful kind of vocals, that are laced throughout this thing. So that kind of just turned me off just a little bit. So This Way is a bottom track for me. And Corvus Corax, I just, of the solo tracks, that was one that I didn't resonate with as much as I did the other ones. But I agree with Random Rab's, like, I think where his production and his sound design shines is featuring other vocals and other producers too. So I look at this album as very much a collaborative project, from the artwork to the features, right? But I think Android Jones even said, like, he listened to this album and then came up with that artwork.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like it's very influenced by each other, right? But yeah, Corvus Corax was just one that just didn't quite do it for me as much as the other ones did. But that's really all I have for bottom tracks.
I just want to show people real quick if they're watching the album cover. So that is the album cover we're referring to. God damn, it's so cool. I love it.
That.
Can you zoom in at all?
It's a little more organic than like Android Jones's typical work. Like usually his work is very, I don't know, like robots and shit.
There's a lot of elements in that, like as that book is open, you can dive in and find dragons and all sorts of creatures or skyscrapers and interesting details.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Trey, what do you got for bottom tracks?
Cool. Bottom tracks. For me, so these aren't in no particular order, but the Magnificence track at the beginning of the album.
Are we saying, I really want to know if we're saying any of the names of this album correctly.
Well, I realized I haven't said any of these album or track titles out loud ever, so I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm stumbling over every syllable. But give it a shot, Trey. What do you want to call it?
I called it Magnificence, but now that I'm like looking at it, like maybe it's like Magnificence.
Maybe. Yeah.
Magnificence. It's either French or Spanish.
Yeah. Some flair to that.
But there's just a little too like world music for me. Like it gives me the vibe of like there's like a crowd in Asheville that's they're like Trustafari and burner kids that like
wear bandanas.
They don't wear bandanas. That's their issue.
Oh, okay.
They wear like really expensive hats they bought from a haberdashery on the burn.
Oh.
And like it just reminds me of those folks. So don't love that song. The first song with Mishi, who's also the name of the dragon in Mulan, right?
Mushu. I think Mushu is his name, right?
Yeah. Close.
That's close.
Close.
The first track with Mishi, I actually really like her vocals in general. I like the sound of her voice. I just don't love this song. And it made me like a little like hesitant for the other ones that had her in it. And then I was pleasantly surprised that I really liked all the other ones. So did not love All the Way is the name of the track. And then my last one is This Way. So all at the beginning of the record, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I don't like that.
Imagine what you were thinking, like by track 4 or 5, you're like, oh god, this is.
Well,
you having serious doubts?
No, because Sempiternal. Well, first off, I knew like I would like it, but Sempiternal, I was like, this track bangs. Like I threw it on a couple playlists. So I had the faith in you. But yeah, that Soul Eye guy, like I don't know anything else by him, but like not a fan. Not a fan of the way he raps. Seems like a guy who would be talk about post festival campsite chilling, like that guy who starts freestyling, and like you can't get him to fucking stop.
Oh my god.
You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not any individual we know necessarily, but you know that character. Not a fan of that song. But much love to Soul Eye.
And he's next to somebody who just clearly doesn't want to engage, but he just won't stop.
Somebody just tripping there with their mouth closed, just like thinking, like, I just want to be out of here, but I can't get up and go anywhere. There's nowhere to go.
Oh, fuck, that's funny. Is that all you had, Trey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all
also, what the fuck is a haberdashery?
A haberdashery? Oh, well, brother, I'm happy to educate you. It's
drop some knowledge.
It's a hat shop. It's a hat shop. A haberdashery is a hat shop.
Okay,
A shop
cool.
that sells hats.
Now we know. Now we know. Yeah, so my first bottom track is my top bottom track is Meracion, I guess. Yeah, man, this song, like, it takes forever getting in, and it's long, and it feels like something that I would hear in a tavern in a mythical land. I don't know how to describe it, but I don't enjoy it. And it was just like, it just took too long. I was like, fuck, man, is this going to be the whole album? But then Sempiternal set me on the right course. But yeah, did not
Shout out
enjoy that.
Sempiternal.
Yeah, for real. And then, yeah, man, like, I feel bad for Soul Eye. I hope he's doing good. I hope he's at a campsite rapping his heart out, but this way is just not. I just did not like it for all the reasons that you guys have already harped on, so I'm not going to continue to go in on our boy Soul Eye, but
great name. Great rapper name.
Great name.
He's been around for a long time too, and I say that with respect, you know. So I think that there's like probably some camaraderie between him and Random Rap that's like, yo, just come feature on this album I'm putting out. I like to think that that's the case.
Yeah. And then my last one is Over the Ocean. I just found like Kathleen Hooper's vocals in this song like kind of corny almost, like the way that she's singing, and like it felt campy. That's what it felt like. I'm commandeering that word. I really like it to describe songs that sound like this. Yeah, just not my vibe. Didn't fit kind of the direction I felt like the album was going, and I don't know, it felt very jarring to me. So not great for me. But that's all I had. Nice. I don't believe there are any album reviews, but before we get into ours, is there anything else you guys want to touch on that we haven't already?
Yeah, I want to say he's going to be in Denver in December, perhaps. I will probably dig around while we're chatting and see if I can find the exact dates. But that is a show. If you're ever able to catch anyone listening to ever able to catch Random Rap live, please do so, because there's likely there's likely a visual team behind the show. There's likely live dancers, live instrumentation, and I think this kind of music can also be classified as like ceremonial kind of music, you know. Yema is another duo that I really love, who produces music a lot in this vein too. It's very ethereal, again, very intentional, from a setting or a vibe setting that they're creating within the music. So I think it's interesting to experience it for the first time via like a studio album kind of release, but live the vibe itself will take over, I think. And again, music is just a part of it. When you have people dancing and visuals and instrumentation all happening at once, now you're experiencing it, I think, the way it's intended.
Definitely.
Yeah. I before we move on to overall ratings, I saw a phenomenal Random Rap Sunrise show at Resonance 2021, which Resonance 2021 was ended up being like a really special festival. There was literally no rules and no security, which was kind of cool. But it was like on top of this mountain as like the sun came up. It was like all foggy. It was absolutely beautiful. So Anthony, you were right about it being much more than just the tunes, you know?
Right. Yep. December 13th in Denver is when they're
at. What venue?
That's my mom's birthday.
Ophelia's mom, Seville. You got another show coming around. Ophelia's Electric Soapbox.
Interesting.
$25 tickets, so very affordable.
Nice. Oh, also, I do have to say, Anthony, I don't know if you saw, but me and Amanda are seeing Shabuzi next week, 1 week from today, at Cervantes, which Trey told me Cervantes is a legendary Pretty Lights venue. So it's my first time going, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
it is.
Let us know. Report back.
We will. All right, so let's get into rankings. Anthony, what do you got?
So mine's going to be pretty high. I don't expect y'all's to be this high by any means, but I'm giving this a 9.5. Like I said, I listen to this pretty regularly, and it's something that I can start and go and not have to press skip. You know, the Soul Eye track is the one thing that probably sets this away from being a 10 for me. If that track was just instrumental, then I would very likely give this a 10. But overall, I really enjoyed this. Like I mentioned last week when I was kind of teasing this album, it was one of my top albums of last year. and I think it will probably stay fresh forever. And if you ever are with me at a after show campsite kind of vibe, don't be surprised if you hear some of these tunes. I mean, and for yoga too. I made a lot of yoga mixes back in the day, and this type of music is like ideal for fitting into that kind of vibe. So 9.5.
Nice. Trey?
I'm gonna give it a solid 7. It's a good 7, but it's just, as far as in the realm of like comparing to other albums and things that are a little bit more meant to be like a whole piece of work, I think it's more so like a collection of songs this man's been working on for a period of time.
Right.
And I enjoy it, and I like the tracks I like a lot. I like a lot. The tracks I didn't like a lot, I didn't like hate, but you know what I mean. Like I just didn't super, whatever. So yeah, 7.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give it a 7 as well, because it's like it's not that it's like bad, right? It's just that nothing really like sucks me in to the point where I want to give it a higher rating. Like I enjoy the songs on there, but I think like very much a right time and place type of album. It's gotta be the right time and place to play music like this for me.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree.
All right,
Yeah,
well, that
cool.
was On Magnificence by Random Rab. So let's move into Rides or Dies, and I'm gonna lead us off, okay? So I sent you guys an absolute banger. Song of the year, by the way. And it is Family Matters by Drake. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to pick sides in the beef, okay? But I will say.
Oh, whatever.
I'm not going to pick sides when you play this song.
I will say Family Matters is so much better than any diss song that Kendrick put out. And some of the lines in this song are just brutal. But I got to say, my favorite part of the whole song is the start of verse 3, where he says, Kendrick just opened his mouth. Someone go hand him a Grammy right now. So good. And it's hilarious. And like it's just such an visceral takedown of Kendrick, of Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, Future. Like Drake just was in his bag when he made this song, So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Anthony?
You want me?
Yeah, well, Anthony, you go first.
All right, well, I might take a second because so you sent me this track, and first thing I see is Drake, and I'm like, okay, because I honestly didn't. I knew there's like shit going on between Drake and Kendrick and J. Cole, but like I'm not invested enough to know, oh, this is the diss track, right? So I see Family Matters, and I'm like, all right, so I listen to it, and I get a minute and a half in, I'm like, all right, this is just a diss track, like he's just nonstop, and I'm like, all right, there's 6 minutes to go, right? And then I thought, okay, well, Blake didn't finish Beau is Afraid, so should I just tap out now? But I said, you know what? These are 6 minutes I'll never get back, but I'm going to do it. So I listened to it. And like,
this is your opportunity for revenge.
Well, I did not say I liked it. So I will save that for a moment. But like, I was just, Drake, it just is such a, I don't know. Again, I'm not so in that scene to probably make a confident statement, but like I am not a fan of Drake of anything he's done, and I think that he was put up by Wayne, but then again, he disses Wayne in this track too, and I'm trying to pull up the lyrics, but I couldn't find them.
No, he doesn't. No, he says
what does he say?
He says Leland Wayne. He's not talking about Lil Wayne.
Leland Wayne.
Yeah.
Who is that?
I don't really know, to be completely honest.
So the fact that we don't know who Leland Wayne is, this track fucking dies so hard. No,
why is that the thing that makes it die?
No, that's just something I realized right now. No, it dies because just Drake in a diss track. It's just not. It doesn't do anything for me. I mean, diss tracks were a thing of the past, I thought, but I mean, are they? What is the purpose of this beef? Is it real? Is it commercial? Is it? I don't know. But like, again, there's very few things you could give me that are Drake related that I'll accept wholeheartedly.
Drake started beef.
Yeah, he didn't start. No, he didn't. No, he did not. Also, Leland Wayne is Metro Boomin, the producer. Metro Boomin, it's his government name. Okay. He didn't start the beef. Kendrick was the one that said that fuck a big three, it's just big me after first person shooter. So Kendrick started this, all right, and it's his fault. And you know what? I'm sick of Not Like Us, man. That song fucking sucks. Anyway, Trey, what do you think?
The song doesn't. All right, before I go, I just want to say yesterday Blake and I hung out. We had a lovely time. I got to meet his fantastic partner Amanda. She's great. way better than him.
Yeah.
But
Fair.
like Blake, I love you, and I'm sorry that I took a shot there because I didn't mean to. Because I'm about to take a lot of shots here. Um, you have been talking about like Kendrick's just beating a dead horse with Not Like Us, blah blah blah, and then you're gonna bring the Drake diss track to Rides or Dies, like you're gonna bring it back up and just it's like you want me to hurt you, and I don't want to hurt you. I want to be nice. This song sucks. Everything Drake does sucks. There's a reason that We Not Like Us right
God.
now at any given fucking restaurant in the general 5 mile radius of where I am, Not Like Us is blasting over some speakers
So
it's the song of the summer, baby.
It's not.
It's a hit. It is. It is iconic, brother. It will live forever. You know what? No one's singing is fucking Family Matters. No one gives
That's
a
not
shit.
true. That
No
is
one
not
cares.
true.
And it is the overwhelming opinion of the rap community that Kendrick Lamar has absolutely decimated Drake
I
in this
disagree.
rap beef.
I disagree.
Well, you can disagree all you want to, but the facts are against you on this one. So this song dies. Drake dies. P. Diddy dies.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to tell you guys something. There is going to be a moment sometime soon where I bring a Drake album to the podcast, and you have to listen to the whole thing objectively and unbiasedly before you form your opinion. So just be ready for that. All right, Anthony, what was your song?
All right, so my track, a different spin on electronic music. This producer, his name is Deerskin. He produces a handful of different styles of electronic music, but his bangers are banging. And when this little EP / mini album came out last week, I just ran it through one time, and this, I think, was the first track on there, and I was like, damn, this song really caught me off guard, and it's a rhythm that I can get down with. A lot of energy in this track. It's called As It Blossoms. So yeah, wanted to bring a different spin on electronic music because I know the Random Rap is very smooth for some ragers out there. Yeah, what'd you think?
I'll go first. I love this song. I ended up listening to the EP. Didn't love the EP as much as I like this track though, but this track is really cool. The drum patterns in it are really sick. I would get down to this in a live setting for sure. Sounds very like garage rave, like alt bass. So yeah, I really like Deerskin. Very cool.
Garage rave alt bass. New genre just dropped.
New genres drop every moment.
You heard it
here. Yeah, I like it. It's crunchy. It's hard. It's weird. With this, like the feeling I get here is I don't know if you guys have been to Where in the Woods now at Bonnaroo. What it has become.
Yeah,
it's very Where in the Woodsy type, like 3 a.m. and there's just the freaks are out in the woods and they're climbing trees in there, and you can bring whatever you want into Where in the Woods because it's not inside the venue.
Right.
So the freaks are out and this song is playing and people are drinking bagged wine and getting real weird with it. So and probably doing some other things. But yeah, it's a ride for me.
Fuck yeah.
Trey, what do you got?
Well, since we were kind of on an electronic thing, I kind of wanted to stay in that realm. And I've been opening myself up to the idea of drum and bass recently, but in the last couple of years, I've really gotten into house music. And this is like this house guy named MPH. The album's called Refraction. The song's called Pushing. It's really good. I liked it a lot. It's got like this cool, like really long build up. I don't know why it's called like an intro track because it's just a regular ass song, but you can just see this like big stadium house music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you go see Chris Lake on Wednesday, do a little House of Red Rocks type vibes. So
nice.
Yeah. What'd y'all think?
Anthony?
Well, I want to stop real quick. You're going to Red Rocks this week? Is that what you said?
I think I'm going to go. I'm going on Thursday for SCS9, or excuse me, I'm going on Sunday for SCS9 for sure. Because they're playing 4 sets. They're doing Axe the Cables, and then 3 sets.
Fuck yes.
But on Wednesday, I think I'm going to go for Chris Lake and Bonobo.
God, oh, hell yeah. That'd be a great vibe. So, all right. So on this track, when you sent it this morning, and I listened to like the first 10 seconds and stopped because I wanted to listen to it when I was like fully awake. And I thought this was like going to be like an ambient kind of track, like very sunrisey like thing. But then the beat kicks in, So I give the song a rides. a full album of this, I don't know how I would do with it. Blake brought Justice at one point, and that was a listen to that episode and see my rating on that one. But
You know, like
this one,
Justice?
No, he doesn't. Isn't that shocking to you?
that album was
Blows my mind.
that was a tough.
Was it
that was
the new
worse
one?
than
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Hyperdrama.
that was
I think.
great.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know, man.
Well, if you bring a house album, you're gonna get strong opinions from this guy.
But we got our rides on
but
this one.
you did. Like I said, you give me a
Nice.
track or a snippet, I'll ride with it. But if you give me too much, I'm bailing. I'm jumping out the car. You know, we're gone. I'm rushing
Yeah.
out of there. But yeah.
So I was kind of on the fence about this. I don't, we've talked a lot about like house music and getting older and how it really starts to vibe with us better as you get older. This is kind of like, to me, a weird mix of, it seems like it wants to be a drum and bass song, but it's
Right.
not. And like, I was going to give it a rise, but then I realized that would be like 4 straight weeks of you getting only rides. So for that reason
I knew I should
alone,
have said that last week.
I'm
Well-
giving it a dice.
Y'all literally were like, all right, let's see what happens next week.
So that's my thoughts.
That's fair.
Okay, so we all watched First Man. Trey, I believe you watched it today. This was my pick. So we've been on a real space kick recently with the Alien movies, and Anthony and I watched the Apollo documentary. And look, all white guys get in this phase where they get really into history. And I'm really into history right now. Like, I've been watching World War II documentaries, Cold War documentaries, space documentaries. Like, I just find history really interesting. So I really like this movie. First off, I told you guys if you could listen to it with headphones, because I love the sound design at various moments in this movie. And also I wanted to bring a tidbit. So this movie caught a lot of flack when it first came out because they had a scene of Neil putting down the flag on the moon. And they took that scene out, and the director made a comment, something along the lines of, going to the moon wasn't an American accomplishment, it was a human accomplishment. Basically saying, there was a lot of countries and people involved in this, and it wasn't, just necessarily an American thing. And obviously people were very upset about that. But there is still a scene where you see the flag on the moon. It's just they took out the scene of them planting it. But yeah, I just really love the scene where they're actually on the moon, like the sound there. And I think Ryan Gosling does fucking great. So I just really enjoyed the movie. What did you guys think, Trey?
That's interesting about the flag planting scene. I did not know that. That was like a big deal, though. You know what I mean? Like, that was a big part of that story.
Yeah.
So is that
I mean, it was a race.
It
Space
was
race.
a race. That was the whole thing, was that we got there first. Like, it was kind of a uniquely American accomplishment. I mean, it's a big thing for all of humanity, but we did plant the flag there.
Yeah, true.
If we went, do y'all feel we really went to the moon?
That's what I want to talk about, bro. Like, for real, I think this movie might just be kind of bullshit because like, I don't think any of this
propaganda?
happened. Yeah, this is just another step in the big lie about.
Oh
going to the
my
moon.
god.
They even had
I
go
really,
ahead.
I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was at times a little boring and dragged on. But I think that Ryan Gosling, first off, I don't know if Ryan Gosling's like a good actor or if that's just like who he is, because he's in all these roles where he's just this like straight faced, emotionless man.
He's a great actor. I
but-
mean, he played Ken, and that's a complete opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
you're right. That's true. Yeah, I mean, he does a phenomenal job. And the whole thing with like his daughter and that being like a big influence in his life, I thought that was really cool. Felt like I learned a lot. Enjoyed the history aspect of it. I didn't realize so many people died in us like trying to create these rockets and spaceships. So that was something I walked away from. Is Buzz Aldrin actually a dick, or like what's the deal there?
I believe he was. I believe that's accurate.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Buzz Aldrin, like, this was probably 10 years ago. Somebody confronted him outside of a hotel and basically said that the moon landing was fake, and he punched him in the face.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking sick.
That's badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the guy that plays him, like, he does a great job too. And I love,
remember him in House of Cards?
yeah. I do love that scene too, where the protesters are like talking about basically how black people are treated in America, and they're like, "But Whitey's on the moon." You know, like I thought that was a very interesting historical aspect that I didn't really, know at the time. But Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah. I had a great time, on Ryan Gosling. I think Ryan Gosling is in the Tom Hanks lane of actors where like he takes on a role and you're like, okay, this is Ryan Gosling doing Neil Armstrong, like Tom Hanks doing Captain Sully or something like that. Like he can't his mannerisms come through regardless, even in Blade Runner, where he doesn't have to talk a whole lot, but it's just like it's just Ryan Gosling. Maybe it's because he's just too much to look at for some folks out there. But with this movie, there's a lot of things that I liked. The takeoff scene, the first Gemini 8 takeoff scene is intense as fuck. I mean, it's all in the cockpit, sensors, alarms going off, canceling alarms, things like that. So it's just such an intense ride. I love the mirror that he has where he can see the liftoff, and then when they break the atmosphere, the magnetism of the mirror comes off. I think that's just so nice, like really nice touches with that. The tumbling sequence where they're spinning out of control, holy shit, that was intense.
Yeah, that shit's crazy,
right? And the scene that really I was like, all right, now I have to look into this, was when Neil Armstrong tossed his daughter's bracelet into the crater on the moon. That's where I thought you were going to say, Blake, this maybe caught some flack, because I didn't know about the planting of the flag and that whole deal. But I looked it up, and there was apparently a whole bunch of stuff they left on the moon, if in fact they went to the moon. But yeah, someone just go up there and proof it, right? But there was apparently
we've never been back.
We did go back 3 times.
No, we've never been back on the moon.
Yes, we have. They went Apollo. Oh, yes, Apollo 12 went back to the moon, and Apollo 13 was supposed to go back to the moon, and they had to come back.
No, but since like the 70s and the 80s, like why haven't we gone? Like it's like 30, 40, 50 years. You know what I mean, man?
Because what is there going to be new stuff
there.
up there?
Nothing there.
There could be.
I just want someone to show something that was there. Bring it back. Why don't you bring something back that was up there?
They did bring stuff. Y'all are pissing me off.
Well, like here's the thing. No, I wanted to say that apparently they put like medals from the 3 guys who died during the training. They had 2 Russian or Soviet plaques or something they put there for fallen comrades too. Like basically anyone that had died out in space, I think they did some sort of memorial for them, and then they could put personal items in there as well. And that's the big question, because apparently Neil Armstrong was really he was really tight-lipped about his daughter and what had happened about her passing so young, and also like that information is just not known. At least I don't believe it's known, but I find it interesting that they did take the liberties to put that scene in there of him tossing the bracelet in.
Yeah. I think it's a great. I really like that scene, and I think the scene of them on the moon. It starts off like one of the coolest audio moments is when they're on the moon and they open the door, and it's like all that air is rushing out, and then once it goes into once they get out of the ship, it's just complete silence. Like I love that moment, but yeah, there's something like kind of eerie about that scene when they're on the moon, like looking at Neil and the reflection in his helmet and just seeing the vast nothingness behind him. Like, I don't know. It's very, I don't know. It's like humbling in a way. It's kind of scary, but very cool. So yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. And, yeah, I'm going through a history thing right now. So, I had to.
Do y'all think that we will see a time where we go to space, like as civilians easily?
No.
Like space cruises?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean, they're doing flights right into breaking the atmosphere or whatever, right? So,
yeah, but
does that count?
It's not like they're. I can't remember how high up they're getting, but they're not like actually breaking. Like they're not in orbit, like they're not breaking. They're still in the atmosphere. They're just in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But I mean, if you count
do you think
that,
that will ever be a common thing? Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah. I wish it would be, man. I love space, and I want to learn more about it. I think that would be great, and I think space exploration is great.
Yeah, I feel like technology grows exponentially, and I don't think it's ridiculous to think 20, 30, 40 years from now.
And you're going to live to be like 300, so you're going to see it for sure.
355, 356, I think, yeah.
Well, it's like, okay, so what comes first? More space travel or more people to go see the Titanic? I mean, like, you have risk in both areas, right? But there's so much unexplored here in the oceans that like it's right there, you know. So like, where
I
do
have
you
to
choose to go?
I have to say that I think when that Ocean Gate thing happened, one of the funniest moments to come out of it was when James Cameron went on live TV to basically just flex that he had been down to the Titanic like 12 times and was like, I didn't die. So just want to let you guys know.
There's a really good podcast episode with James Cameron and the guy who's in Arrested Development. I forget, but
that's
he
a lot of people.
Yeah, basically, it's like Will Arnett. It's like a big podcast. Will Arnett, the guy Will from Will and Grace, and then the guy from Arrested Development, who's really popular, and I just can't think of his name right now. But anyway,
Bateman, Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Jason Bateman. Thank you. James Cameron basically talks about how like he works in films to help support his actual hobby and passion of like deep sea diving,
deep sea exploration. Yeah,
that motherfucker loves the ocean, dude.
He loves the ocean.
There's a great South Park episode that spoofs him, and there's a whole song.
So good. It's so good. I will say, I don't know if you've watched it, Trey, but I just want to touch on. I rewatched Civil War last night, Anthony. We have a whole aside about that, but I will say, upon rewatching, my opinion on that movie has changed greatly, and I think it's
Did you not like it to begin with?
I did not like it to begin with because, well, here's my issue. It was
a little indifferent. Yeah,
I was indifferent because I felt as though they advertised the movie as like an action movie, as like a war movie. That's how the trailers like portrayed the movie, and that's not what this movie is at all. And I think now that I know that, I was able to watch it like without this assumption of what it was going to be, and it was so much better the second time.
Yeah,
so
it's phenomenal, you know.
I just watched for the first time. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I can't wait till they do re-release back in theaters at some point. Maybe they'll do it. I don't know. It might be one of those films that they put back in theaters in December for like the Oscar nominees, you know, for sound design. I mean, like it's going to hold up in there, and along with Dune, like those two movies, if they throw those back in theaters, I might spend a whole day at the movie theater.
I'd go back and watch Dune for sure.
100%.
Yeah, like that scene where the two, I don't even remember which army they were with, but the two guys when they shoot the friend or whatever.
Oh my god!
Field.
Yeah.
But like you see them and they see that they have the guy, and you don't see the actors at first, and they pull up and it's like Todd from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's Jesse
Plemons. I was like, these guys are fucked. Like he's just like the most evil like actor of all time.
Yeah, he does great. And apparently, Kirsten Dunst is the one that got him in that movie because I think they're married or dating or something. Yeah. And
wait, what? Really?
Yeah. So there's somebody else was supposed to play it, and then they dropped out, and so Kirsten Dunst was like, "Why don't you just hire my husband?" And they did, and he killed it. He fucking killed it for the 5 minutes he was on screen.
That guy's a great actor.
Yeah, that scene is very haunting too. Like when he just like how casually he just fucking murders those people. Like,
do y'all remember his role in Like Mike? That might have been the first time we all got to see Jesse Plemons. He was like a bully of
really?
Lil Bow Wow.
He's the bully.
Yeah,
on the playground.
So like he's been mugging people since fucking '93 or whatever. Like Mike was like 2002.
The first thing that I saw him in was Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, he was in that too.
But he was great. He was like, he was like a lovable, like little kind of nerdy, like Christian rock making motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's super nice, and then now all of a sudden he's Todd. He's forever Todd.
He's in a lot of things. I mean, he's in all
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Kinds of Kindness. Power of the Dog, I think, or something on Netflix.
Power of the Dog.
He's excellent.
I do want to say I know we didn't set out to talk about Civil War, but I have to say, like, a friend of mine, like, basically he was indifferent about it too. He saw it with me. He went with me and Amanda to see it, and he said that he was like, it annoys me that it doesn't have anything to say. Like there's no messaging to the movie.
I disagree with that entirely.
And I told him, like, the thing is, I don't think it really has like anything to say like it's intentionally ambiguous in the sense of like why it started, what the goals are. And I think like, I like it that way. Cause I think the point is more about how people are interacting with each other, not the overarching theme of why this political divide had happened. So I like it the way that it is, where I think initially I didn't.
I love that it stays away from anything specific politically because it just makes it like much more of a this. For me, it felt like it was like this conflict could actually happen.
Right.
Like
Right.
we're not that far off from this happening, and by removing any like specifics, like that makes that a lot more believable. I feel like, and also doesn't immediately politicize and ostracize potentially half of your audience.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like then you're not painting a good guy and a bad guy or whatever. Although it's clear that
Yeah.
the president probably wasn't like a super chill dude.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he was a dictator. I think it said he bombed the country, like
Right.
the U.S. But like again, they're like photos are inherently unbiased, so
Right.
like this whole movie kind of
Right.
really coming through the lens of a journalist, who's trying to just display what is happening, a war journalist versus trying to put a spin on it. I think is what Alex Garland was shooting for, and I think he has a relation, like whether it was his parents or something from when he was a kid, having some relationship with journalists, photojournalists specifically. That this was kind of like a love letter to that community, but also highlighting current events or potential current events in our country. And I wish that this movie got talked about more in the public sense, but I think people were turned off by the idea of a Civil War film before they even ever got to watch it. Unfortunately, but fuck it, it's a
100%,
great
yeah.
movie.
Cool.
Bose headphones. Listen to
Bose,
that.
Yeah. All right. So what do so next week is I'm the note picker next week. So I believe
Right.
it's a Trey album Anthony movie, correct?
Yep. Don't
Trey, what do you got?
I've been going back and forth on this one, boys. I'll be honest with you. Part of me wants to do a bit of an off the wall thing. And part of me wants to do the new Billy Strings album that comes out next week. It comes out Friday.
Okay.
So just because it'd be a current listen. So I'm gonna let y'all choose.
Yeah.
We're either gonna do the name of the Billy Strings album is Highway Prayers by Billy Strings, one of the
Okay.
hottest acts in live music right now. Or we're gonna do All the Right Reasons by Nickelback. What do you want to do?
Fuck, man, this is hard. This is really
I'm
hard.
gonna say this: whatever Blake picks,
right?
I'm gonna pick the opposite. So Trey, it's gonna fall on you. So flip
That's
a coin,
not fair.
brother.
Yeah, it's gonna
Okay,
fall on
all
you,
right,
Trey.
hold on,
I
I'll
would
flip
just
it.
flip. Actually,
All right,
look,
all right, I'm gonna
be honest.
flip
I
my
think
phone.
Blake wants
Hold
to
on.
listen to Nickelback.
all right.
I
Heads
think
is
the
Heads is
episode has the
Nickelback. Tails is
potential to be
Billy
very
Strings.
fun.
Yeah.
True.
Are you flipping a coin?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to? Okay. So
Are you doing it or
So
not doing
Heads is.
No, I got it. I'm gonna flip my.
I'm
I'm gonna flip my phone. I got the screen.
just ask
or
Siri
the
to flip a
back.
coin.
I'm flipping on the couch. I don't want to do that. I want to flip the phone. I want the physical act. So screen is gonna be Billy Strings. Back is gonna be Nickelback. You ready?
Nickelback
Yeah.
back.
Billy Strings it is, brothers.
All right, Billy Strings. It is okay.
So what's the album
Billy
called
Strings,
again?
Highway Prayers. It's called Highway Prayers.
Highway
It doesn't come out until Friday. It has 2 singles released right now. But yeah, let's do that. It'll be fun.
Dope. Anthony, what do you got for a movie?
This is how I want to start this little reveal: is that there's a movie in theaters
God.
right now, and I'm not going to make you go see it because you can't. I don't think you can handle it. And if you go see it, let's fucking talk about it. I would be so grateful and proud of you guys if you go see it. It's called The Substance. Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. Margaret Qualley was one of the main chicks from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a body horror film, but I think it's so necessary and it should be seen and it should be talked about and experienced in theaters because the sound is incredible and the visuals are incredible. I'm not going to make you watch that, but like I said, viewers, if anyone out there watches it and wants to talk about it, then I'll fucking bring you in the Totally Biased studio and we'll do it. But on that vein, I also have 2 choices, and I'm trying to not point y'all in a certain direction, but there's a movie that I haven't seen and there's a movie that I have seen. Both have won awards. You just have to trust me and know that they're good films, but that's your choices. So something that I haven't seen or something that I have seen.
Let's
Either
do
way, it's going to be
something.
good.
Let's do something you haven't seen.
Okay.
I want to know the
Trey.
names of the movies first.
Okay. Well, here are the two movies. The movie I have not seen. No, the movie I have seen is Black Swan. Okay.
Okay.
The movie I
Okay.
have not seen is The Sound of Metal. The drummer with tinnitus.
Oh, okay.
Award-winning
I'd
film.
be down to The
Both
Sound
are
of Metal.
award-winning films. I knew you were going to want that, but like,
I mean, I really like Black Swan.
okay,
Wait,
that's
what
all
was
I
the
need.
se-
To know.
what was the second one?
The Sound of Metal.
The Sound of
Yeah, I love Black Swan.
Yeah, and you
But
haven't seen The
I
Sound
think
of Metal though.
I've seen the beginning of it, and I didn't stop it for any particular reason. I think I fell asleep or something.
Gotcha. Well, then let's do that. We'll do The Sound of Metal, Black Swan on the back burner. Just to know that Trey likes Black Swan gives me some hope for like future movie picks, and that's what I need. I need that like
Good.
reassurance.
Black
Black
that,
Swan is
like,
great, dude.
Yeah, Black Swan's awesome.
So is Bo is Afraid, right, people? Right, people?
Alrighty.
No, and that's our
Okay,
time.
Trey and I met someone at the Tipper and Friends, and we can kind of close here with.
He got me so mad.
I mentioned Bo is Afraid to somebody, and somebody turns around and goes, Did you say Bo is Afraid?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I love that movie. I've seen it like 6 times." And I was like,
Oh my.
"You people exist out there that get it, right? Just not currently in the studio, but they are out there. Those folks."
Interesting.
But
All
okay,
right.
so
Uh-huh.
Billy Strings. What's the album one more time, Trey?
Highway Prayers.
Highway Prayers.
And
then-
Sound of Metal.
Sound of Metal. Yep. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I believe. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good,
All right.
gang. I will catch
Fun
you
week.
guys next week, and everybody else will catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.